everyone. How are we doing? So we got the right clicker here? That is the right clicker. All right, we're good to go. So my name is Travis Wright, and this is a great venue that we're at here, huh? So perfect. Thank you for one. Let's give a big round of applause to the MarTech Alliance for putting this together. This is really great. Great stuff. All right, so a little bit about me, just so you know. So I was actually a radio disc jockey at the age of 13 at my mom's best friend's dad's radio station. So nepotism worked out really well for me in that role. It was great. I actually joined the military right out of high school, so I was a Russian linguist. So, здравствуйте, как дела, что ты делаешь сейчас? Я говорю digital marketing. So I can assure you, the Russians did not hack this presentation. I want to let you know that in advance. So we're good to go. So obviously stand-up comedy is not my thing. I've tried it, I've done it multiple times. Not nearly as funny as I think I am. So my mom told me I'm really funny, but I'm not nearly that funny. So I better figure out this internet stuff, right? So I've done a lot of different things. I was the global digital strategist for Symantec for the Norton brand. I've also actually wrote the book Digital Sense. So thank you again to MarTech Alliance for giving everyone a copy of that. I hope you guys enjoy that book as well. And I do a podcast as well, a couple podcasts. One with Mr. Stuart Rogers, VB Engage with VentureBeat. So that we do that once a week, and he'll be our ending keynote today. And then I also do another podcast called Bad Crypto, which is all about blockchain. And thank you for the fan shutting off. That is nice. I don't have to yell as much. Good stuff. Here's actually a picture of me at the radio station at age 14. Don't you love the glasses? That was my mom making sure that she had no grandkids when I was in high school. So she was successful. All right. Who am I not? I am not Penn Jillette. You guys know Penn Jillette here? But anyways, here you go. Ooh, magic. So this is a social event, so feel free to tweet it up if you want to put it on the Twitters or the Instagrams and all that good stuff. The event organizers love the tweets, so make sure that you do that as many as you can. So let's talk about marketing technology, right? So this slide right here is one of my favorite slides because it shows, the history of marketing, from way back in the day. And apparently back in 1839, it was illegal to put posters on poles in London. You know that? That was the first advertising ever, apparently. And if you did it, these guys come to arrest you, which I think is in like an 1800s police boy band. They look like they just want to bust out some Gangnam Style, don't they? I love that. Good stuff. So what's happened over time is we have made this transition from Mad Men, where we're just, hey, we're trusting our gut, we're drinking whiskey and smoking cigarettes in our office, which is disgusting. Like, that is a worst office to be in for 8 hours while people are smoking. And now we've become math men, so we really become more data-driven in the process of the evolution of marketing, right? And so marketing has become a very data-driven world. We need to understand the data to make better decisions. And it helps you ask and answer the right questions. It helps you integrate your marketing strategies. It also helps you know your audience better. It helps you do a lot of things. So you really want to figure out and customize your customer journey, understand the data, and then help give your customers a good experience. Because if you give them a good experience, they will keep coming back to you, right? And so then we go back to this slide here, and we get to the future. The future right there, that is 2007. And then we had some other things happen since then, right? We've had, all these different technologies pop up. Think about this. 20 years ago, Gary Kasparov lost to Deep Blue playing chess. You think about that. 20 years ago, and now think of all the technology advances that have happened. And we have Uber, we have, all the Amazon Web Services, all the other different stuff that's popped up, Amazon Echo, conversational UI, Facebook Messenger, all this stuff, the bots. The world is getting crazy, right? Then this happened. So this is one of those things that if you're not in marketing or marketing technology and you show somebody one of these things, they're all like, what is that? That will give you epilepsy. There's so many logos on there. It is crazy. So what's happened is we've all had to become MarTech men and women. We have to understand how this marketing technology stuff works. And so I want to take us back a little bit, back to the beginning of the internet. And so way back in the day, back in 1945, when Memex was created, and then we've sort of kept growing, and we've enhanced this internet, and the ARPANET was created, and www was created, and HTTP and TCP/IP, those were all created. And then we got to the era where we could start doing e-commerce in about 1995. And so what's happened is, the first Web 1.0, that was really read-only, right? So we interacted on the web. We would go to a website, and we would read it, and then we would leave, right? That's pretty much all you could do. Web 2.0 allowed for us to do that reading and the writing. And so we've then been able to contribute and add comments, and now Facebook and Twitter, and we're able to create all this user-generated content over time, whereas before in the earlier generations of the internet wasn't possible. And then again, this has happened, right? And so what's happening in organizations today is there is more cloud apps adoptions that is happening throughout pretty much every organization, but not just in marketing, but throughout the whole organization, HR, finance, all these different tools. And if you look, you can see the average number of cloud apps used by different verticals. Retail and restaurants and hospitality, they're using about 1,200 different technologies. And this is from the Kleiner Perkins Mary Meeker presentation that she had launched back in April. And so look at the different technologies, the different verticals. There's a ton of technologies being used. And marketers, there's about 91 different technologies being used by marketing organizations on average. And you can see, HR, collaboration, finance, et cetera, socials, another 30, that I would include that in marketing. So there are a lot of technologies out there, and more organizations are using more and more of them, right? And so we really need to become better at automating our stack. And so the organizations that are best in class, they're the ones that are integrating their technologies more effectively. And you can see here, best in class versus the all others. This group right here has a strongly integrated system of complementary solutions. Some of these other organizations do not. So you want to start, putting your tools together and having them work together, because a lot of times you have a really great tool with a lot of great data, but that data doesn't connect very well with some of your other tools. And how do you make that work? And there's some technologies and some fixes that allow you to do that I'll share a little bit later, right? And so it's chaos. There's a lot of different activities going on. So let's look at these best-in-class marketing organizations. You can see all of them have a CRM for the most part. They have web video conferencing solution of some sort. They have an email service provider, marketing automation platform. They have print material solutions, analytics, content management systems. So those are the top technologies of best-in-class marketers. But then over here on the emerging side of things, there are also a ton of great technologies like landing page optimization, content marketing platform, visual editing, sort of design tools, SEO stuff, social listening, event marketing, content or contact data, banner display, retargeting, project management. There's a lot of different categories of tools. In fact, there are over 350 different categories of marketing technologies out there, which is a ton. So you want to be able to optimize and organize your marketing stack, and in a lot of cases, you do not want to have to loop in IT. Now, what's happening now is that with some of these technologies out there and these APIs, there are some tools that can connect to those APIs without you even needing to loop in the IT department, which is starting to become pretty handy. So there's some marketing technology landscapes out there, and if you start diving into them and seeing all of the different technology landscapes that are out there, you are like, oh my God, there are literally so many of them. It's never ending. I could just keep clicking. It's insane how many there are, right? And then you get to the whole thing here, which is like, here's the whole advertising ad tech ecosystem with the SSPs and the DMPs and the OPP. Yeah, you know me. All right. So the space is a little confusing, right? So we're like, kind of like that dog, that brown one. I'm like, what is up with all of these technologies, you guys? How are we going to figure this out? So now that's not even talking about the emerging technologies that are happening. So this is a slide that came out from Dion Hinchcliffe on ZDNet a couple months ago. It talks about all the emerging technologies that are coming, some of them that are here now, some of them that are going to be more prevalent in the future years. One of the ones that I like that resonates with me is blockchain. I'm a big fan of blockchain. I think it's disrupting the world, right? But there's also AI, machine learning, big data, social business. You can see the ones that are in the green circle, those are entering mainstream or already in mainstream. The triangle is ones that are still emerging. There's a ton of different technologies, and here are the ones that are sort of on the horizon. DNA computing, quantum computing, the world is going to change rapidly over these next 2 to 3 years, you guys. Seriously, because 5G is right around the corner. 5G will give us all a 30 gigabit connection to our mobile device. 30 gigabit connection. That is way faster than most home computers. I live in Kansas City in the US, and we have Google Fiber, and that's 1 gigabit connection. Soon, within 2 to 3 years, we're going to have 30 gigabit connections to your refrigerator, to your toothbrush, to the Internet of Things, to the autonomous cars. We are about to enter the Jetsons world. It's crazy when you think about it from that perspective. But blockchain, to me, is one of the ones that's the most interesting because it's disrupting so many industries, right? So, who here has heard of Bitcoin? Raise your hand. You heard of Bitcoin? Keep your hands up. Who here has Bitcoin? 3, 4 people. In a room of marketing technologies, 4 people have Bitcoin. Well, 5. I have some. Now, anybody here have Ethereum? 1, 2, 3. Okay, more people have Ethereum than Bitcoin. Maybe you guys are raising your hands now. Who here has coins aside from Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Litecoin? 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. Okay, great. The world is changing, and if you guys do not have any, you guys are going to want to start paying attention to this space, because it's not just cryptocurrency. And I'm going to show how this is going to disrupt your world. It's going to disrupt marketing in very big ways. So how does blockchain work, right? So let's say I want to send money to Stuart right here. I want to send him $100. Well, I'm going to send him that $100, but I want to make sure that I don't send this guy the same $100, right? It's not like a Google Doc or like an MP3 where you can just send a duplicate copy. I'm sending him $100, but I need to make sure I'm not sending him that exact same $100. So what happens is I send Stuart that $100. That transaction is now broadcast out to the network. And everyone who has a node that is, has the mining equipment on their computers, they get that transaction has been broadcast to them. They now know that transaction has occurred. Well, now, after that broadcast has happened, that transaction now goes into a block, okay? And then every 10 minutes, this block is then solved with all the transactions in it. So the blockchain needs all this different computational power to solve this block of transactions. Once this block of transactions is solved, boom, it goes into the chain. It is now uneditable. You cannot move it. You cannot censor it. You cannot change it in any way. This has been broadcasted, and this is set in stone. It's almost as if you've seen like a bug that's been captured in amber, right? You can't change it. It's in there. It's stuck. That transaction is stuck. You can't go in and do any of this fancy editing of accounting like, we discovered in America with Enron and some of those other, corrupt scenarios that have happened. That doesn't happen. It cannot happen with Bitcoin or blockchain. So after that's happened, the block is then added to the chain. That provides an indelible and transparent record of transactions. Everyone can see it. Now, they don't know Travis sent $100 to Stuart. They know A, this long hash, sent to B, another long hash, and now this hash has it. But it's transparent, right? So for the first time ever, we're going to have a decentralized system of monetary value and also all these other things that blockchain can disrupt, right? So this block right here has been solved. Now it gets connected to this block, that block, this block, that block, and you create the blockchain, right? Does that make sense? Okay. So that's basically how it works in a nutshell. Here's another kind of example of how it works. And there are multiple different types of distributed blockchains. And here's a centralized sort of a block right here. So it's sort of like, imagine, well, in America we have the Federal Reserve Bank. And that's a very centralized bank. And then it sends out money to all the other Federal Reserve banks that are located throughout the country. That's a very centralized system. But we're getting into these decentralized systems and distributed systems of business where there is no Bitcoin headquarters. You cannot go to Bitcoin HQ. There is no Bitcoin CEO, right? Now that's crazy when you think about that. You go, well, where do I go to the bank? Oh, you don't go to the bank. You have a cell phone. You have a mobile device, right? And when we get in this 5G world, what's going to be easier? Us spending 15, 20 minutes to go drive to the bank and then driving back to the bank, or us going boop, boop, boom, right? Obviously, cryptocurrency and digital money is going to be the future. And if you do not see that, let me share it again. It's going to be like this. Boop, boop, boom, and you're done, right? You don't have to go to the bank. It's great. So it's interesting, and there are different types of blockchains. There are public blockchains like Ethereum and Bitcoin and Litecoin. There are also these federated blockchains, these organizations and private blockchains. Like, say, for example, countries are going to have their own blockchain that manages all their government stuff for them. And maybe there's going to be the Britcoin down the road. And instead of using the pound, you'll be using digital currency that's sort of attached to the pound, but there'll be no more paper money down the road. Paper money is kind of a pain. Could you imagine trying to carry around $1 million? That's heavy, right? Even if you're trying to carry around gold, like that's really heavy to try to carry around. Like I could carry around $1 million in my mobile device, you know, securely anywhere in the world that I go, right? So it's crazy to think about. So what industries are blockchain going to disrupt? These. Pretty much every single industry. Imagine it's sort of like a database that's transparent. It's an open ledger. Everyone can have access to it to make transactions, and it's going to be transparent for the first time ever and decentralized. So to me, I really love this. I think it's ingenious. So blockchain to me is where I'm going to start spending more of my time. I'm a marketing technologist, but now I'm saying, hey, blockchain is pretty awesome, right? So what are the benefits of blockchain? Well, it saves you time. It removes a lot of cost and overhead. So for me to transfer money, so I live in Kansas City. For me, if I wanted to send money to the Philippines, I would go from Kansas City to New York to the city of London to Zurich to Hong Kong to Manila, right? And then every one of those banks takes up a little bit of that money. They take a little bit of transaction fees. So with this, a lot of banks are starting to like blockchain. They don't like Bitcoin, but they like blockchain because there are some solutions where banks can send billions of dollars for pennies. You don't have to worry about those huge transaction fees. You also don't have to worry about escrow anymore. A lot of attorneys are going to be unnecessary down the road as well because blockchain is going to eliminate those. It reduces risks and it increases trust because quite frankly, you know, we live in an era where it's kind of hard to trust things. Hard to trust things you see on the news, hard to trust things you see read in the paper. You don't know if there's a narrative behind it or what, or who's trying to pass an agenda past us, right? And so realize that blockchain is more than just cryptocurrency, and cryptocurrency is not just for the dark web. It's not just for criminals to be passing money. In fact, that time's pretty much over. Now we're turning into that time where we're getting to that mass adoption phase where more and more people are starting to realize, digital money is the future. Yeah, artificial intelligence is coming. 5G is coming. We all have smartphones. Yeah, it's obviously coming, right? And there's only about 10 people maybe in this room that have thought about it deeply enough to start embracing it. So I would say, as one piece of advice, start learning about blockchain. So this is some of the blockchain ecosystem. These are just some of the companies that are out there being built on various different blockchains. Some of these are cryptocurrencies. Some of these are solutions that revolve around blockchain. You know, there's a whole huge learning curve in here, and I think that I'm still very new to learning about blockchain, but there's so much opportunity here. And in fact, Stuart wrote an article from Jeremy Epstein, put together the marketing technology landscape for blockchain. So here are some of the companies now that are starting to populate into the marketing technology stack. And notice there's a lot of them in display and advertising. That's actually the space where there's the most. But you're going to start seeing more and more companies populate into this being based off of blockchain, because blockchain is Internet 3.0. We have entered Internet 3.0 with blockchain. So I mentioned fake news. That was a big problem. And I wrote an article on Huffington Post about fake news and about the US election back in December. And one of the problems in America, they were all talking about how the Russians hacked the election or whatever, but one of the biggest problems is we have no voter ID. You can literally go to a voting place in America and just go vote and say you're whoever you are and go vote. You don't need to show your ID. That's a big problem in my book, because if I want to go cash a check or get on an airplane or go to the bank or do anything, I need to show an ID. Why do I not, whenever it revolves around our democracy, do I need to show an ID? But you don't, so it's weird. And so I said, hey, we need voter ID, and we also need blockchain. Because with blockchain, we all have a device, we all have a unique ID on our phone that can be attached to us, and we can put our ID on the blockchain. And especially with GDPR and all about privacy, blockchain is really going to enable everyone to have control of their own data, which is huge, right? So fake news was a problem. A group of data scientists came to me and said, hey, Travis, we're looking to solve this problem that's revolving around fake news. And also, there's a problem where it's hard to discover truth a lot of times on social media now, right? Especially when there's all these different bots. There's botnets that are happening. There's censorship that's starting to occur on social networks. There's bad algorithms, and there's fake news. And you hear about the content farms in different places that are putting content together or whatever. But that's one part of the problem. The other part of the problem I noticed is that, sites like Facebook is eliminating certain sources from being able to put on Facebook, and Reddit is eliminating certain subreddits and eliminating some certain conversations. Twitter is eliminating anyone who has a conservative point of view. If you interact with President Trump on Twitter in a positive way, they will then almost shadow ban your account so that you don't get engagement anymore. It's crazy. They're banning a lot of people on that. YouTube, they're demonetizing people who have a point of view they don't like. And Google is actually delisting sites that are conservative of nature because that's not what they want, that's not the agenda they want to pass. So we're having a problem with these social medias doing this stuff. So I found that a problem. So what we're doing is we're creating this company called DeepSee. And DeepSee is a social network that is, actually we're doing an ICO, an initial coin offering, creating our own token around this. But basically it's a site that's sort of like Reddit, sort of like Twitter, but it's actually where you pull in content and then the community is, we are decentralizing like Snopes. Have you seen Snopes where you actually go in and trying to figure out what the truth is? So we're kind of democratizing the truth. People can annotate and cite different content and let's determine if what we're reading is real or not, and let's see some of the opposing points of view. Because I personally believe there are some conversations that are a little challenging or difficult for people to have, but it's way better to have those conversations and discuss them than it is to try to hide them, right? If somebody wants to sort of pop up as being an alt-right person, let them display themselves as an idiot if they want to, right? At least we know that we're dealing with an idiot, or if that's your perception. But I'm all about, hey, if you want to be far left, far right, that's fine. In America, we have free speech, right? We can talk about things. We can discuss things. So this is a site that will build that out. And what happened as a result of that, we said, well, how would you market in a space around crypto or around crypto? Well, we decided to basically create our own crypto podcast. So we have a new podcast called Bad Crypto, which I started with Joel Comm. We started it a little about 4 months ago, and we have now over 600,000 downloads in about 4 months. So we're talking about blockchain, we're talking about Bitcoin, crypto, and all that stuff. So if you guys want to learn about that, you guys can do that. And in fact, we created our own coin. That's worth zero. It's worth nothing. It's literally a shit coin that we created out of thin air, and we created 10 billion of them. And we're giving away 100,000 of them for free. So if you would like some, you can go to that link, badco.in/MarTech, and get 100,000 bad coin shitcoins. Good deal. So we've had some pretty good success with that. So it's a fun space. People are trying to learn about it and understand digital money is a thing, and you better get on board with it, right? But it also goes to show that if you want to, have an impact in an industry, build content that, resonates with those that are trying to learn about that space, right? So you can become a thought leader by creating content that is relevant for people in those particular spaces, right? So it's good stuff. So let's get in and talk about marketing technologies. I got about 20-something minutes here left. So this will be fast-paced stuff here for you guys. So here are all of the different marketing categories of the marketing technology landscape. So if you look at the different categories of tools that are there, you can see here are each individual tool. How many tools are in those categories right now? There are a lot, right? A ton, in fact. But then if we start looking at how many categories there are in general, there are 3 sites that you may want to go to check out to kind of get views and reviews on some of these technologies. One is called Trust Radius, another is called G2 Crowd, and another one is called Cabinet M. All 3 of those sites will give you ratings and reviews from the communities of which technologies they like better than others, right? So how many technologies are there? This is how many technologies there are on G2 Crowd. This is how many there are on Trust Radius. This is how many there are on Cabinet M. There's John Travolta again. I don't know, it's so confusing, you guys. Yeah, so that's one of the things is that there's over 350 categories of technologies, right? So I wrote the book Digital Sense, and one of the things I wanted to include in the book was this glossary of all the technologies and all the different categories, but it added like an extra 50 pages to the book, so they cut it out. So if you want the glossary, you can go to ccp.digital/MarTech Fest, and that will give you access to that particular glossary set. You want to take a photo of that? I got a few people snapping some shots. Cool deal. All right, so at the very first MarTech conference back in 2014 in Boston, Scott Brinker was nice enough to invite me to do a keynote at that. And so I did a keynote called To Build or to Buy Your Marketing Technology Stack. And actually today, it's still one, I think it is the top viewed marketing technology conference slide presentations. But at that time, I was talking about how all of these big brands like Adobe and Salesforce and IBM, they were acquiring all of these different technologies and merging them together. And they were kind of creating what I was calling this Frankenstack. It was like they were really, it's like, it's alive. I'm trying to merge this with this. And a lot of times the technologies weren't talking well together, right? That was 2014. And so at that time, there was about $11.2 billion being spent on acquiring of these technologies that they were putting together for their marketing technology stacks. And so with VB Insight, Stuart Rogers and the rest of the group, we're tracking about 2,700 of these different technologies. And there's over $200 billion at this point that have been invested into the marketing technology space. So what's happened is we've been creating a lot of billion-dollar companies over time, right? So there's been 13.7 billion invested there, 5.6, a lot of billions invested in a lot of these different places, right? So lots and lots of unicorns popping up all over the place. Love this unicorn, and this is my favorite unicorn, this one. And I realized, I guess, so you know we have this superhero theme, and Stuart happens to be Deadpool, and that takes on a whole new meaning here, Stuart, doesn't it? That's pretty awkward. I actually had to go to Deadpool twice so I could take a video of this to make a GIF, because how often do you see money flying out of a unicorn's ass? Not often. In fact, I'd never seen it before. So if that offended you, just wait. I have other slides too. So we love MarTech. MarTech is a great space. So let's get into building your own marketing technologies. I apologize for that, Stuart. But I knew you would appreciate that, so that's good. All right, so him and I give each other so much shit. If you've ever heard our podcast, you know we go back and forth all the time, but never before has it happened on stage. So that was a first, so that was good. All right, so you want to build a marketing technology stack, right? Well, first of all, you have to decide, what kind of business are you? Because there's not one size fits all. I would almost say that most technology stacks are all different. Nobody has the same marketing technology stack at this point. They're kind of like snowflakes. Everyone's a little bit different. So, but there are different types of technology platforms and topographies that you can put together, right? So you can have the suite, which is sort of, you can go in and buy a set of tools, like you can go and buy Adobe, and you can utilize all of those tools, or a platform approach. You can do a multi-platform approach where you can take a little bit of stuff from Adobe, you can take a little bit of stuff from Oracle, a little bit of stuff from Salesforce, and then you can have a bus platform, which is you can just pull stuff from all kinds of places. You're kind of building your own and pulling things in from all these different places. So it's a really interesting way to look at it. Do you want to just buy one, or do you kind of want to build one? And it really depends on the technology and the talent that you have on your team, right? Because sometimes this technology and these talent is hard to find, right? So if you do not have the talent to build it, then you probably should buy some, or try to look to hire people to help you build these out. So Cabinet M has a really interesting tool that allows you to configure your marketing technology stack pretty effectively. So as you noticed from that one slide, 91 different technologies in your organization. I would almost bet that your CMO doesn't even know all of the technologies that are being used throughout your whole organization, right? So you want to have your team go to Cabinet M and then start logging in and say, which tools are you guys using, right? Because some of them thought leaders in your organization are using stuff that other people don't even know exist, and then maybe somebody else is trying to buy the same tool. So a lot of times there's not communication going on very well. So that will help you kind of configure those. Now, how do you look at building your marketing technology stack? Well, I like to use this example because Scott Brinker, he was the CTO of Ion Interactive, which now has been acquired. But look at how they're thinking about it. And I like this because this is probably a good approach. You want to say, okay, these are the tools we use to attract customers. These are the tools we use to educate our customers. and then match. We're doing data matching here, and then we're packaging up our data, and we're connecting, and this is what we use to transact, and this is what we do to turn prospects into customers. Here we are, and now we want to turn those customers into advocates, right? So if you kind of look at your tools, like which tools are doing what and in which lane, and that can help you kind of figure out maybe some gaps that you have in your technology stack, right? In DataPipe, they have an interesting one here. These are the tools they use for awareness, and awareness includes paid search, social and PR and SEO. Then they have their lead conversion. Then they have their nurturing group, which includes remarketing, and their deal conversion, and then their data collection and analysis, right? People are viewing this in different ways. And again, here's Cabinet M that can kind of show you what some of the same tools are. Oh, we're using these for advertising, we're using these for analytics, we're using these for tracking, we're using these widgets for this, we're using this tool for our CRM, we're using so you can kind of build those out, right? So, who here has heard of Ghostery? Ghostery is a pretty fun tool that you can see what tags and tools are on different websites, right? So say, for example, if you went to Real Madrid and you wanted to take a look at their website, you could do that, and you could say which technologies are on their site. And like, oh, we have these 20 trackers that are currently on this site right now. And maybe, you're a competitor of them, and you want to see what your competitors are using on their site because they might know something or have figured something out that you don't or haven't figured out yet. Go run your competitors through Ghostery. Now, their Chrome extension is absolutely free, so you can go download the Chrome extension, and any website you go, you can see how much data they're tracking by you visiting their site, which some of that will change with GDPR, I would assume. But you can actually dive in and see what each one of those technologies do, and you can click on it and actually go and do a demo if you like, right? Or you can actually take the website. I use this on Firefox. It's called WebTilt. It's under the developer kit, and you can actually turn the site. You can see how long your site takes to load, and you can see that over here on the left, and it will tell you which areas of your site need a little bit of work. And it's also interesting to view it from this particular lens, because if you're using a tool like Adobe Target or Test and Target, you can actually switch out different components of the website based on the visitor that's coming to your site. And the more you know about the visitor, the better deals you can offer them in a personalized fashion, right? So personalization comes really handy in this particular space, the more you know about your customers and the more you know about your visitors, right? So one of the first things that I would suggest is tag management. So if you do not have a tag manager on your website, then your site's kind of a cluster. You have different things in all these different places. Tag management really helps you manage all these different tags that go onto your site from one dashboard without having to connect with IT, right? So maybe you have your visitor remarketing, your social marketing, your search engine marketing, your marketing automation, email marketing, banner ads, analytics, A/B testing, all of that stuff. You want to put it inside some sort of marketing, of tag management solution. And there are a few, right? Google Tag Manager is free, right? Adobe Dynamic Tag Manager, Signal, Insighten, Qubit, Telium, those are not free, right? There are different solutions. Actually, if you buy the whole Adobe Marketing Cloud, I do believe it comes with that as well. So let's say you're an SMB or a startup, and you don't have to be one of those to use Google Tag Manager, but let's say, for example, here is Starbucks, which is that's not a startup, right? But they use Google Tag Manager, so you can see here are some of the technologies they use, and then that's all the stuff they're deploying double-click through their Tag Manager at this particular snapshot in time. But some of these other things over here should probably be in Google Tag Manager as well, but they don't have everything running through their Google Tag Manager. Telium is another platform. This is a more of an enterprise level platform. They have a data layer. They have a thing called Audience Stream, which helps you target audiences more effectively as well. They have some other different audience analysis. So here is GoDaddy. They use Telium, and you can see how GoDaddy is using that. So they have Telium, and they're deploying all of their technologies for the most part through that red dot in the middle, which is Telium. They have some things on the other side that is not. They also actually have Google Tag Manager that's doing kind of its own thing over there. I don't know what it's doing, but they've got two tag managers. Signal is another technology. It used to be called BrightTag, but they rebranded to Signal. Here's the technology. Best Buy uses Signal, and you can see kind of how they have it all set up. They have their technologies. They have AdSense and stuff, Google services not going through their tag manager, but they have their CDN, their content delivery network right there, BBY static. The Signal is going, they got Blue Kai and DoubleClick, 24/7, Omniture going through their tag manager, right? Insighten is another platform. another enterprise level platform. They call themselves an agile marketing platform, and they have all these other different, so it's not just tag management, but they also have a mobile tag management tool. They have this attribution tool, and they also have this data collection tools as well. And then they have this data layer that goes over all of it. So this data layer basically becomes sort of the lifeblood of your marketing. If you are able to collect data on top of your website, which there probably are some GDPR implications. I'm not an expert on GDPR, but I know that the more data you can collect, the better. However, you don't want to make sure that you're collecting exact identity type of stuff because that can get you into a problem. But you want to make sure that you're using your data effectively, and a data layer can really help with that. So let's say, for example, here is Target and how Target is using Insight, and you can see Insighton's the red dot there in the middle. And they have all the different, they have LiveRamp going through there, and Drawbridge, Omniture. They have some other stuff. Media Math is also going through LiveRamp, which is going through the Insighton platform, but then Target's actually connecting directly to that. So it's interesting to kind of see how these companies are looking and thinking about tag management and deploying some of these technologies, right? Adobe Tag Manager, right? Here's another one. Adobe Tag Manager is up there in the corner. Not doing a whole lot there, Fandango. I don't know what you're thinking, Fandango. They don't got their act together, it looks like to me. But here's the Onion. The Onion, they got some stuff all over the place. I don't actually see a tag manager on this one. And here's my all-time favorite, TMZ. I have no idea what the hell they're doing. Is anybody here from TMZ? No? Of course not, because you do stuff like this. You don't go to MarTech conferences to learn how to do stuff right. I mean, I have no idea what is going on. I look at that thing and I go, really? Like, what are they even trying to accomplish on that? I'm like, that is the most, I don't even think they do have a tag manager. Look, they have a tag manager that's connected to nothing. Unreal. All right, so analytics and data, we covered that slide there. So analytics and data, Google Analytics, right? That's a free tool, probably one of the better tools out there for your analytics. Connects to all the Googles, so most people are using that, and it has a really high score on G2 Crowd. Also, here are some of the top ones over there. That's it. But also, Google Analytics 360 has come out, and so if you guys have, they have a tag management solution that's in there. They have a personalization platform, an optimization platform, their analytics platform. So if you haven't looked at Google Analytics 360, that's a pretty good suite of tools, right? They also want to optimize your mobile. If you're not optimizing for mobile, then you're being penalized on search engines for having too slow of websites, right? Google AMP, they're all about that. So if you're not using AMP in some ways, then your website loads slow, and then your traffic depletes over time, right? So if you're not optimizing your mobile devices, you're going to have a bad time, you guys, just so you know. So Monitate's a good solution for that. Insighton has a mobile tag management solution to sort of help you optimize your mobile as well. So that's that. CRM, Customer Relationship Manager, right? We want to connect with our customers. It's very important. Customers are truly the life of our business. If we have no customers, we have no business, right? So you want to be able to manage your customers. And so this right here is the chart on Trust Radius of all of the various different CRMs that are out there. Here are the top ones. So if you're not using one of those, you probably should, you know. I like to use Nimble. Nimble is a social CRM, which comes in pretty handy. If you're a smaller business, I'm a small agency. We have like 12 employees, but we don't need a whole huge sales force, right? Marketing automation is important as well, right? So marketing and sales converge with marketing automation. You want to be able to be aware of this. You want to be able, you know their names. You figure out who the prospects are. They turn into a lead. Boom, they turn into sales. So you want to be able to automate your marketing effectively. So if you look at what marketing automation can entail, all kinds of things: landing pages, forms, downloads, cookie tracking, email marketing, personal URLs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's so much that can go into marketing and marketing technology. So what are some of the best marketing automation platforms out there? Here are some of them. We have HubSpot, Salesforce, Marketo, Oracle, looks like, right? So there you go. There's some more. Infusionsoft, if you're kind of a smaller business. Acton is kind of a smaller one as well. NetSuite is another one. So conversions, you want to be able to convert your customers as well, right? So there's all kinds of great customers out there. That's one of our primary concerns, is we want to increase our conversion rates. So that's one of our top priorities. So here are some really great conversion optimization tools that you could use. We have Google Analytics, Optimizely, Instapage, MarTech, Kissmetrics, et cetera, et cetera. If you haven't, if you're not using any of these, here are the names, just go do a demo. You're gonna have sales guys that would love to show you how that works. And that's one of the things that I think that's been very valuable to me. I've demoed about 1,500 different marketing technologies in the last 5 years, 6 years or so. So don't be afraid to demo if you've not heard of them, or like, what does this do? I'm curious, go demo them, right? Check them out. A lot of different tools out there. And really look at your website as sort of like layers and dimensions and decisions. And that's kind of where I was talking about whenever you show that sort of that tilted view of your website. There's all kinds of different decisions that you could do based on the person that's visiting your site. So that's good. Adobe Target can help you personalize very effectively. Optimizely can as well. Is another great tool. They do the Onion Maximizer. I believe that got purchased by Oracle recently. And Monetize. So there are a lot of different platforms to help you change things based on what you know about the visitor onto your site. Email marketing, obviously that's another thing that you need to be aware of. You need to be doing email marketing. There's some great email marketing platform. Data management, and again, here's the DMP and the RTB and the DSP and SSP and all that great stuff, right? So advertising is a whole different beast. Ad tech is its whole other world that a lot of people probably don't understand as well. It's a little bit confusing, but you know what? You need to be able to throw your data through there, have a data management platform where all your data is consistent. You're sending it through these, and then they are sending it out to the ad networks so you have consistent data. Search engine marketing as well. If you're not doing some of that, you should be doing some of that. Right? A lot of different tools out there for that. Wordivore is an interesting tool. There's a company called AdWorthy. And AdWorthy has this whole suite of tools that you can actually upload your Google Analytics into and your Google AdWords into, and it will do a deep analysis of all of your campaigns. And most every time that I've ran any client through that, we've been able to optimize their campaigns by 30, 40% or even more sometimes, just because they're doing it in a different way. They are analyzing the content of your ads, not the keywords and the targeting. They're basically, you can use that, put it through Wordivore, and then build yourself a whole content strategy that you can, like words and that you need to be putting on websites and build out different web pages for your site, which is interesting. All right, tons of different social media tools out there. That's a whole other presentation that I'm not going to even get into that, but there's so many of them. Here are some of the top ones: Hootsuite, Sprout Social, Social Studio there with Salesforce. There's a ton of those out there as well. Retargeting and remarketing is very, very important. These are some of the areas that you really, if you don't have retargeting on your site, then you're missing out, because somebody comes to your site, they visit, then we want to be able to market to them later on. And if you're not remarketing to them effectively, you're going to miss out. So there's a bunch of tools for that. And let's talk about some marketing tools real quick. I got about 3 minutes here, so I'm going to run through a lot of these. And you guys are going to want to have access to the deck when it's all done, because I'm going to go through a lot of these tools pretty quick. So Observe Point. Say you're moving to a new tag management platform, and you need to do analysis of all the tags that are already on your site. It's hard to remove all of them all at once, right? Or have somebody manually do all that. Observe Point kind of creates a solution that allows you to identify and then audit all of those tags. That way you can move to a tag management solution a little more effectively. So that's good. Built with, maybe you want to figure out every single website that has Marketo on it. You can do that. You can, which websites have Google Analytics? You can just type it in. It will tell you every single website that has it on there. And so if you're doing sales, or if you have your sales team that's trying to reach out and say, oh, we work really well if they have Magento. Oh, well, let's figure out who has Magento. And then you can see, then you can start reaching out to them, right? Here's a content DSP, which is really interesting. So you guys have probably seen on websites like, oh, sponsored articles or sponsored stories at the bottom. Like, if you like this, you might like this article. Those are all paid advertising, essentially. Well, Zamanta is a tool that actually allows you to basically upload an Excel document with your headline, with the link you want it to go to, and a link to your thumbnail. And you can put it on all of those websites: Outbrain, Taboola, Facebook, Brightroll, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a ton that you can actually do with this particular tool, which is way handy. Another great tool that I like for user-generated content is Stackla. And Stackla, if you guys have a brand where you guys have, if you're a retail brand or a consumer goods brand or any type of brand that deals with, content or user-generated content, you want to be able to utilize this content more effectively in your advertising. You want to be able to use it in your social. And this right here actually helps you collect it and manage it very effectively. So if you have, let your customers tell your story with this type of a tool. Another tool is Distilled ODN. Now this tool right here basically does programmatic SEO. So what it does is it's using AI and machine learning to optimize your pages for you until it gets to a certain point where it can be optimized no further, and then your on-site SEO for that particular page, in theory, is complete. Now, there's still off-site SEO stuff that you need to do, but we're going to get to a point where your SEO guy, you don't even need one, maybe, because there's tools out there that are going to solve these problems for you, which is crazy. Another platform that is huge that I think is very important, if you have a lot of images on your website, if you have a lot of images, those images can take up a lot of bandwidth. And especially when somebody's looking at your website on mobile, right? There's a problem. You don't need that 700 kilobyte file downloaded to your mobile device. You need about a 15 kilobyte image downloaded. So there's a tool called Cloudinary, and Cloudinary actually allows you to place one URL for an image, and it will actually give you the exact size image that you need for whatever browser that you're on. If you need the 4K version, boom. If you need the 12K, 12 kilobyte version, you can give you that version based on what size browser you're on. So that's huge. That right there is very amazing. It also does some cool stuff with video. Influential is a tool that is using IBM Watson to do influencer marketing. That's pretty cool. Another great tool that I like is called Affinio. Affinio can take Twitter data, Reddit data, LinkedIn data, Facebook data. It can do all this analysis on your audience to figure out who is most relating to your brand. And then what it does is it will allow you to create additional custom audiences to target those folks. So if you want to do analysis on any brand on Twitter, you can. And then you can find a subset of their folks that like their brand. And then you can create a Twitter advertising campaign. You can do similar stuff on Facebook as well. That's a pretty cool tool. Here's another tool called Node. Node is a sort of a B2B marketing sales tool, which does analysis on all of your potential prospects and then tells you which ones you should be reaching out to. And it also tells you how you should be speaking to them because it does natural language processing and AI to figure out which ones are your best customers, right? Nudge is another one that does some pretty cool stuff as well. Nimble, I talked about Nimble. So that's a really cool tool where you can basically highlight anyone's name and it will give you all their social channels so you can market to them more effectively. That's pretty good stuff. Phrasee, actually I believe they are here. I saw they're in the area in there. It does some AI for headlines of your emails. So it makes your email marketing work more effectively, which is pretty cool. Pathmatics, this is a tool that basically allows you to do video analysis or competitor analysis of what people are doing on video. So it gives you pretty good intelligence on that. And then here's my last tool is a tool called Tray.io. And with these APIs, as I was telling you, all these different tools and technologies, most of them have APIs. Well, back in the day, they didn't connect very well. Now they connect very well. And so it's similar to this. If you've used if this, then that, or Zapier, those are sort of like personal or SMB type of tools, but Tray really allows you to connect, have all these connectors to all those different tools within those 5,000 technologies that are out there. So you can basically add a trigger, connect it. You do not need IT to do this. You basically can drag and drop and connect all those tools together. So it's pretty cool. So anyone can integrate their whole technology stack. Very good. All right. There's some other tools as well, some blockchain technologies that are growing in the space as well. So much going on. So if you guys want to connect with me, feel free. You can connect with me on the Twitters and on LinkedIn and all of that. And with that, that is the end.